Hi from Boston. I'm George. This is the first of many video clips I will probably send with big pleasure, even though I would much prefer to write, as writing is my forte in communicating. And this is a reflection about chapter 4 in our handbook reading, mandatory reading for the course Culture Cognition Ignatra Valadez. Chapter 4 dedicated completely to the family context of early childhood education for reading, the situation in the schools, the social economical, I would say, aspect of the reading frequencies and expenditure in the family for reading resources, etc. What hit my attention was obviously first question which came to my mind was immediately what kind of family we talk about. The research obviously was done that it can be proven that family in classical sense, father, mother, and child doesn't exist anymore. 80% of my students, both in Texas and interestingly also here in Boston, Massachusetts, New Hampshire area, are single mother's family. I mean, 80% are students who told me that they live alone with child. Father is completely absent. So before we go to talk about any kind of responsibility of the family to educate a child into the reading, or would be good to know what is the status, by number statistically speaking, the status of the family per se, which is probably disastrous. And I still think that somehow father should be in the family responsible for early input of children to any education. Somehow that's my old-fashioned view, and my simple consequence is to the logical consequence to the father. There's no more fathers. Unwillingly, because some women told me they don't want any father at all in the family life involved. It's indeed to be interesting to know how much is this article, this research, how much is important, if we know that the family, is going to die. The first idea which came to my mind, which obviously should be proven mathematically using numbers statistically founded research should be done about the status of the family in this country. Second question came to me regarding the context, obviously the disproportion between low social economical, family existence and between the higher salary people, higher culturally and economically and sociologically higher educated, people. Interestingly, numbers are confirming that obviously, as the aforementioned research in Carolinas by Mrs. Shirley Heath in South Carolina, New Carolina, research done between white and black families confirmed that existentially, money is a situation. The access to the resources is not the same for older people, since we know that books can be expensive. I have some parentheses also in there. We know that there are many opportunities to get books for free in libraries, etc. So the question remains that some family still have no access to the children book to educate them, to read them. Funny also was to notice there are still some sources they are always present in the family today. Can be Bible, can be personal correspondence, can be maps, can be anything which parents somehow they do use to read to the kids. Somehow the resources can be good. Christian families, they have the Bibles. It's good to read to the kids. In my case, for example, my grandma, when I was a small boy, my grandma was reading me from different resources, obviously, all those kind of, first fairy tales, and from the Bible as well, I remember. Those are important moments to realize that sometimes parents, they do that, and they should have the power to read to the early childhood to kids some resources. Section between the interesting graph of page 85, showing how much resources are in the family available today and how many resources are in the school in curriculum required. It's important, and interesting to observe that except maybe maps, different maps and personal correspondence, or the Bible readings, or I would say not so much Bible eventually, but the comics and entertainment, I would say, resources. Except those in the families, there's nothing which would touch somehow or refer to the curriculum in the schools. There's small intersections between those two realities, family, home, and the school are not so much available, resources for the curriculum. So the second half of the article was somehow trying to do some bridge between how can we help the educator, the teacher, how can we help the family to make somehow bridge, between those quality and quantities of resources available home, to make them somehow connected to the curriculum in the schools. This is not easy assignment. It's not easy task for several reasons. Economic aspect is very important still because the money are necessary to buy the resources and books. Even though, as I mentioned before, the libraries, and the resources on the internet, which everybody today pretty much has, are available for free. Not so much excuses for students who tell me, I don't want to buy the book. I tell them, okay, go to the online. You have the course. The whole ebook is available for free. You can download. For more and more, we go to the aspect which nobody should be excused anymore to buy any resource for child home to read for free. Nevertheless, there are some situations in family, very low income family, which prove that there's simply no interest, because if family struggles economically, there's no money to pay the food and no money to pay the rent. Obviously, not so much space and time to think about any kind of culture or education. So there are some families, and I printed some map. We go still to the Midwest and to the South, comparing to the north, east of the country, still some families without any possibility to get those resources and to read to the kids. Different aspect was obviously an interesting aspect which concludes the whole research of this article was how school can help. I printed for myself, interestingly discovering that Massachusetts and New Hampshire has about 15 organizations, consortiums, and clubs to go directly to the home and to read to the kids, or to involve the parents to teach them how to find the time and space and resources to read, or who actually do amazing job in the schools to call parents to the schools and try somehow to teach them how to efficiently and economically read to the kids in homes. The whole topic, I think, reading and would say family literacy is pretty important to me, because I visited some homes when I was in Texas doing the pastor. I visited many actually homes, and not speaking about only, I would say, Hispanic culture, visiting some white people houses with complete absence of a book. To tell a joke, I had access to the office of Bishop of Catholic Diocese Corpus Christi, who had no one book in the office except some baseball DVD or something. So somehow let's don't lie to ourselves. The fact that kids don't read anymore is also the fact not only because the adults do not read too much. I was always very pleased to see, for example, Barnes Noble in Corpus Christi and also other places, Portland, Oregon, always extra crowded of people, which is a good sign, obviously. A good sign that people still go and they do read. And they do read maybe different stuff, maybe other stuff which I would read, or maybe not stuff which school would require to read, but at least they go to see and to touch the books and to explore and to see the variety of the books available. That's a big positive it's still good to see libraries with a line of people, 2 miles of, people waiting for Sunday at noon opening of the library, as I saw in Oregon. Or in here in Boston, that truly I see the young people in line waiting for the opening of the library. That's very positive. But nevertheless, to see the small kids to touch something different except the cartoons and comics, or to watch the TV, which is the second factor of the situation we have today, that nobody reads so much as years ago. Probably it's a technology, which is obviously guilty. The problem, we make it guilty because we use it. We put on the TV in front of kids instead to push them or to go to spend time with them to read eventually. So technology can be a problem. It is a problem. It's easy to watch. It's more comfortable and more lazy to watch something on the TV instead to open the book and to read. Which, by the way, goes to the college also level, because my students are tempted, to watch the videos or some PowerPoint presentations instead to go and to read, word by word, the textbook. So the education, I think that education, I have the impression of this article, it should be not only question how can we educate to read the kids from the smallest, youngest age. The question is how can we keep the reading attitude in our adult age? How can we educate the parents to read more and more quality stuff instead some shallow TV guide or something about the movies or something about the fashion? And the quality of reading, I think, it's a question for everybody, not only for the kids and for the schools. It's difficult to teach a teenager to read if there's no family support, no attitude, be acquired, in the family, small, teenage age, to be getting attitude, it's too late to start to educate in certain age, which is valid for mathematics or other courses we do. There is nothing behind previously done to the child before the child is 7, 8 years old. It's difficult to catch up late, which is for any subject, languages, math, sciences. It's difficult to teach the child, in certain age if nothing was done before, especially for the music, arts. Difficult to teach any adult person, which it's which coming back to the education and somehow trying to catch up. My impression was that we do good job on all the levels. Colleges especially do wonderful job, to teach the parents how to catch up, how to go back on horse, so to speak, to teach the kids to have laugh and I would say appreciation for books. This is probably something which I would say as the last thing, to teach enthusiasm, which Lawrence Krauss, speaking of the sciences and mathematics situation in this country, says specifically, repeatedly, publicly. Teach them at least to get a passion, at least to find a passion for the books, to touch them, smell them, look for them. And if we are able somehow to communicate this enthusiasm and passion for reading, for literature, for beauty, from the smallest, youngest age of kids, I think that we could win the battle with ignorance, battle with illiteracy around in the nation, which is still a problem, I would say. And to do that, we need a good teacher, good enthusiast, obviously, passion teachers to spend the time to communicate this amazing love for beauty and which we talk about, and love for the literature. And with this passion, enthusiasm, we can seduce. And I like the verb seduce. Lawrence Krauss uses a lot the word seduce them with this amazing beauty you have for your subject. In my case, it's a mathematics. Seduce them by beauty of mathematics. So if we say our young kids and child, to the child education or elementary level, it will say them, I'm seducing you with the beauty of something which can change your life or give you something for your life. It will be maybe enough to be done on this task, difficult task of teaching our kids to read more.